So I just got back from the cinema after watching The Empire of Death, and in some ways it was good, and in some ways it's like, did we deserve more? If you're new here and you decide to come for the final episode of the season, don't worry, there will be more Doctor Who videos. There's videos from the past if you want to check out. A link will be somewhere. But most importantly, thanks for watching. Let's get into the review. So we open up and everyone's dying, and as soon as that happens, you know the plot's going to be like how we're going to bring them back. It felt very Flux-like, with planets in time and space all fading and whatever, being consumed by the dusts of death. And when they were doing all that, and you kind of realise, oh, we can't stay like this, I did think for a moment, are they going to undo the impact of Flux when they inevitably bring everything back? They still could. They could say, oh, Sutekh brought everything back, blah blah blah. But who knows? Having Sutekh's ultimate plan to be deaf to all things because he's the god of death is cool, and it felt very finale, grand, epic-y sort of thing that I guess you want. But in some ways, I don't know, I was sitting there kind of like, it's a bit of a generic plot, and it did lead to things I really enjoyed, such as the time memory Tardis, which I guess ties into the Tales of the Tardis really well. I actually think it's a great idea. Sometimes with Russell T Davies, he kind of pulls stuff out of his arse, kind of like the season 3 finale with the whole thinking and Jesus thing that was going on. But I found this sort of memory TARDIS idea to be really cool. The line of, if memories are a time machine, then it's a TARDIS. It felt really creative, it felt new. The sort of like tiny TARDIS that we got had some nice Easter eggs in there, some calls back to the past, old screwdrivers, old aspects. It was a nice little set, and we probably won't see it again. But hopefully with future episodes of the Tales of the TARDIS, that set can still be utilised. Going back to the ultimate aim of the plot, the whole thing being Sutekh wanting to find out who Ruby's mum is, it's kind of funny. It's like he was one of us this whole time, just on Twitter with a fan and being like, who is the mother? So much so that you refuse to kill them. It felt very meta, which this whole season has, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But it does make you think, say if they lost or whatever and Sutekh found out the identity of the mother and it was just an ordinary person, what then? Does he just kill them? He's like, oh, never mind? Why was he so obsessed with the mystery? Like, he's not the god of answers or questions or the god of mystery itself. He's a god of death. So on that side I was a bit iffy with it. Again, the explanation of it being sort of this meta thing has its pros and cons, but it's one of many aspects of this finale and this entire season, to be honest. They kind of left 50-50 on, like, oh, you did parts of it well. But on the other side of things, I'm still left kind of wanting more. For example, Sutekh's demise or ending, I thought it was really cool how when death kills death, what happens? It brings life. Does it make sense? Maybe not. But the moment was cool, and seeing everyone being brought back was nice. Having Sutekh being dragged through the vortex, it was kind of funny. You're also like, how did the rope tie him down? Isn't he meant to be a god? But when you get a scene so cool as the god of death bringing life to the whole universe, you do let some things slide. Jumping back to a mini aspect of this episode, the kind woman, I can't think of the actress's name, Sian Crawford or something like that, but from Fleabag I recognised her. There was theories this whole time of who is she, how important is she. I guess she was important, she gave us a spoon, but I'm still wondering what was the point? Why her? What was it, a way of connecting heart to the episode to be like, oh, look at the effect this has had? And if so, that feels like a very desperate attempt to pull out our heartstrings, like, oh look, this mother lost a child and she's kind to give us a spoon. For me, I'm still scratching my head about it, thinking maybe that will tie into something later. I kind of feel like it has to, but if it doesn't, then that happened. But why such an important actress? It just has to come back. I don't know. You did kind of feel like at some point it was going to reveal that the baby she had was Ruby, or that this kind woman was Ruby's mother. But instead, moving on to the mother reveal, it's just an ordinary woman. Now, when I look at the positives, it did lead to some very emotional scenes. with Ruby discovering her, meeting her in the coffee shop and whatnot, the reunion, Carla and Ruby's grandmother inviting the mother into their home, into their family, I thought was beautiful. And I know this is going to be like a very divisive point, but I think the meta explanation of because we all thought it was important, it became important is cool. But I do also agree with everyone else where they're like, what are you talking about? What about the snow? What about the camera footage not seeing stuff? Also, my own point, why did the mother point so dramatically? Like, did she know the CCTV was there? Lots of stuff doesn't really make sense. I do wonder if there's going to be a retcon there, if there's more to it than we know, that maybe we find out next season, because whilst Ruby left as the main companion, she's still coming back as a companion next season. And whilst I said the scenes itself were very emotional, I feel like the foundations of which this reveal was built upon weren't that strong. And when I say that, I mean the season itself, in my opinion, didn't really focus on Ruby enough and the themes of family for this final reveal to really hit. I feel like if we had time exploring Ruby's abandonment issues, how she's so desperate to find her family, how the things of family connect to her, how the things of family connect to the Doctor, and how he sees family, because that is an important aspect in this two-parter. I feel this reveal would have hit 100 times more. But as we mostly have a season where we just jump into the story and we kind of see what happens, and we get sort of like basic development between the Doctor and Ruby and themselves, where you kind of feel the season is relying on their chemistry more than their characters. These scenes end up feeling a little bit hollow. Like, they look great, they sound great, but when you look at this overall picture of the season, it doesn't shine as brightly as I think it's meant to. I mean, sort of said it before, but Ruby leaves the Tardis in a very quick scene. It makes sense. She's now found this family, she feels complete. Again, if we went through the season where we thought that Ruby was running away from stuff and missing part of her because of not knowing who her real mother is, and maybe didn't have that such a strong connection to Carla, maybe this final scene would mean more. And that's not saying that I hated the scene, no, it's a great scene between the two actors. I just feel there's more potential in these scenes, in the emotional depth of it all, that we missed out on because of the prior 7 episodes. And when I say that, it also connects into the Doctor's farewell to her, kind of saying, oh, you taught me about family. What are you talking about? We just had a Doctor who settled down and was like, oh, I've never had this, I've never had a family. And now the next incarnation is saying,
I talk about family in a way that I never did before.
Does that make any sense? Again, maybe if we had more time throughout the season learning about this Doctor's views on family, it would tie together better. But seeing as the last thing we know about this Doctor is he found family, and he found a family in the Nobles, it feels a bit random and kind of discarding all that development that the 14th Doctor had to be like, oh, you taught me about family. In what ways? You know, I feel like they need to expand on that. It's sort of interesting, last episode when the Doctor saw Rose again, he was all happy and he was like, oh, how's your uncle doing? And upon first seeing it, it was sort of like a funny scene, I felt, because it's like, oh, how's your uncle doing? AKA me. But I also should know how I'm doing because I am your uncle. But with this ending scene, it's kind of like, does the Doctor even see himself as 14? Why has he had such a disconnect? Does he not see himself as Rose's uncle? Like, it raises interesting questions that I feel the series didn't answer this season or will answer in the future. Oh, and Miss Flood was still saying weird stuff. You know, before when she was wearing the Clara fit, everyone was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if it's Clara? And then she says, oh, you clever boy. I really don't know what they're doing with this woman. Like, she's wearing these big white puff coats like she's some sort of rapper. I have no idea where they're going with it, which is exciting. But I'm also worried that it's going to build up again to a point that no matter what it's revealed to be, we're going to be disappointed. I'm definitely intrigued. I just hope moving forward, the writing is more focused on the Doctor as a person, as this 15th incarnation. Who are they? Because looking back at this season, Ruby and the Doctor do feel a little basic. It kind of felt like Russell wanted this resolution to have a real heart to it, no matter what. And I do love the idea. I love a big epic story that at its core is a smaller tale that is filled with heart, filled with love, and that ends up being the resolution. I know it can sound kind of cliche or gimmicky to be like, oh, all you need is love, but when it's done right, when it's done well, it can really enhance a story. A recent example I can think of, if you think it's recent, a recent example I can think of is Everything Everywhere All at Once. You know, you're going all across the multiverse and you're having all these wild ideas be thrown out at you. But at its core, it's about a family, it's about a relationship between a mother and daughter, which makes it so much stronger. Here, I feel like it works in parts. It doesn't fully tie the season together, it kind of leaves it a little open-ended. I feel like maybe fans will feel a little bit unfulfilled, but I guess that's sort of natural when you do this weekly build-up of a mystery. You're not going to satisfy everyone, but I feel at least it should have created a full picture that the reveal of Ruby's mother really didn't. But yeah, overall, The Empire Death, it was thrilling. You know, you felt the intensity of when the universe was dying. Great acting by everyone, Shooty, Millie Gibson. The whole cast brought it, as they do every week. And it's kind of 50-50 at the moment. There's parts I really like. The memory Tardis, Sutekh bringing life to the whole universe, which is just a cool, funny idea. Ruby meeting her mother. There's also parts where I'm like, this all feels a little thin. That's my review at the moment. It's very scrambled. Because, you know, on the way back I was jotting down everything I was thinking. And I still haven't decided if I like this finale, if I now like this season, or if it went down a grade for me. It's going to take some time to think about that. But I'm really intrigued to see what everyone thinks, not just of this finale, but of the series as a whole. Did this finale strengthen it for you? Did it answer the questions that you had? Leave your comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe. There'll be more Doctor Who videos, don't you worry. We've been the Overall Nerds, and peace.